What? The only thing scarier in the last 12 minutes of this film was like the first 90 or 2, something like that.
There's 92, and then they changed it to 83 to actually reflect the running time. I mean, what was the initial reaction to this film like, and were you kind of at all surprised at how people responded to it, and also, I guess, that how they continue to do so?
Yeah, well, I was ultimately, I mean, I wasn't surprised in the beginning, because, well, you know, it got sort of a confused response here in America, I think. It was a, you know, well, you know, it is, as you say, it's sort of, it's odd. It's not a horror, it's a horror slash art slash slasher, you know. It has a lot of slashes. And so, I don't know, the audience here I don't think was as responsive in the beginning as it has certainly come to be. And so who knew? I mean, you know, 40 years ago, but who's counting, that I'd be sitting here with 700 people who, you know, apparently would pay money.
I think we're going to open it up to audience questions in a little bit, so if you have any questions, think of good ones, because if you're bad, I will absolutely interrupt you. That's, as far as I can tell, the only reason I'm here. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, I guess I have like a bunch of questions, but again, can you talk about like what was the most difficult to shoot? I read somewhere that some of the windows exploding.
Oh my God. Come on, you guys saw that last scene. How would you feel about running through those exploding hallways? So what happened was, you know, they come to me in the lab. This was the very end of the shoot, because of course they didn't want to kill me early in the shoot, because that would screw up the movie. So they saved this scene for the last, just in case I suffered any injury. No, I'm just bullshitting. But actually, so as you can see, that was a kind of a treacherous path I had to cut. You know, and it was done in a few cuts. But I had to go down these hallways with exploding windows, and I didn't, there's that first scene where that table chases me across. I sort of don't remember that, but only because I was, anyway, I was in quite a state of panic about the whole thing, because of course they also wanted me to do it all in one take, because they didn't want to have to rebuild the whole thing. So I was under pressure to do it one take and not sustain, you know, injury that would preclude finishing this. And also then, so I was going to go through a brief instruction so that I would do this without getting killed. And so the stunt coordinator came out to explain to me exactly how to navigate it so I wouldn't be hurt or whatever. And so he comes out, I'm introduced to the stunt coordinator, and over the entire right half of his body was a plaster cast. So he had one of those things where his arm is like this. And he's like, oh no, you're in really good hands. This was not reassuring. However, obviously I lived, sometimes people ask me, why did you have a smile on your face when you exited the building at the end of the movie? Well, because I survived. No, so it was a little, honestly, it was a little scary. I wasn't acting in this. It was a little scary having all that stuff flying around. But.
Yeah, I mean, they're exploding. I mean, they're clearly exploding inward, so even if it's safety glass, you know,
Yeah.
I'm very impressive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Peter, do you have a question?
Oh yeah, this morning, if you could talk about, also in the film are like two, like, you know, two other icons of film. Joan Bennett, who'd been like a bunch of Fritz Lang films and all that. It was also at the center of like one of the great Hollywood scandals of all time. And then also Alida Valli, he was in the Third Man, worked with Visconti and Bertolucci and all that. And I was just curious on what it was like for you as like sort of like a new actress, you know, working with those two sort of like, you know, icons of cinema.
Oh, well, I at the time and still to this day I'm just snowed by these great iconic actresses of the 40s. And so I was in heaven just being on set with these two incredible women. And Alita Valley was a little elusive because she wasn't feeling well at the time, and also her English wasn't great, so I didn't quite connect with her quite as well. But she would disappear after each take and take care of her illness at the time. Joan Bennett and I hit it right off because she was such a glamour queen. So we would go out for dinner frequently after the shoot of the day, and we'd go, and she'd always have her hair done. It was always as if she were being pursued by paparazzi, which, by the way, she was frequently. But she was so accustomed to the habits of a Hollywood queen. She'd never given those habits up. So she would say to me, and she talked, it's a shame you can't hear her voice because her voice is so thick. She talked kind of like this, like movie stars did in those days. So you didn't quite, maybe she a little English accent, but I think you didn't quite know her. But a little bit haughty, but just glamorous and lovely. So she talked like this, and she'd say, "Don't ever let them take a picture of you while you're smoking." But, those kind of tips that come from the 40s, whereas of course by this time everybody, whatever, we have Us magazine, everybody's in their bathing suits, but she was still like that. And then we'd go out for dinner, and she'd order this pasta, and she'd be smoking, and because the paparazzi weren't there, she'd smoke over her pasta, and she'd have a double scotch and her cigarettes, and then dinner would be over and her pasta would still be there. The scotch was gone, the pasta was gone. I thought, this is a woman after my own heart. She was also very kind and very professional, and she's really good in the movie. I mean, it was a tough part, playing Madame Blank, Jesus. Tough part, but she was very good. Alita Valley was wonderful too. That's actually Alita Valley's real voice, but Jones was dubbed, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then also, obviously Dario Argento is a very visual filmmaker. And I was just curious, working on the set with him, how would that compare? Like, obviously one of your other earlier movies you did was Family Paradise, where you worked with Brian De Palma, who also is a very sort of like visually oriented filmmaker. And I was just curious, how the experience of working with Argento sort of like compared with doing that with working with De Palma in that sense.
I sort of feel like Brian was more about camera movement. He was very into, that 360 thing he does, and a lot of big moves with the camera. Dario had some of that, but it was very much about the way each scene looked and was lit. I just want to say, as much as I am incredibly grateful to the Music Box for showing this particular print, which is very cool, this print really suffers in that respect. I don't know if you guys, I just want to say this only because many of you probably have seen the movie in other formats. Yeah. So you know that one of the essential, I'm sorry because my twin brother is here and he's never seen, this is his first viewing. And
that's awesome.
I know. All these years he kept saying, I can't see it tonight, I don't know, I have to see a man about a horse. I can't. Finally, I get him to see this thing, and to be perfectly brutally honest, I wish you could see the Blu-ray version where the colors are so beautiful and so vibrant. This is all kind of pink and white, and as you guys know, those of you who've seen other versions, it's very blue and yellow, very primary. And that's part of the great aesthetic of this movie. So I'm sorry that it's missing from this print. Although this print has its historical value and other things of interest. But anyway, so Dario I feel was more about the color and the light, and Brian more about camera movement, I would say. If you were.
Was this one of the? I think this is like one of the first Italian films to use a Steadicam. I think. I read.
You're way ahead of me on that. I haven't read that piece.
Okay, well, I choose to believe that. To clarify, so there's a new 4K restoration of this film, which does look incredible. Synapse Films is releasing it on Blu-ray. personally, I love seeing a film print, but you should also buy that. So yeah, invest your money wisely in Suspiria products. I'm gonna open it up to the audience unless you have okay, this is it. So we're gonna raise your hand, and we're probably gonna bring a microphone over to you because the theater's so huge, and I can see already there's some people in.
No pressure, folks, but we only have time for about 2 questions. 1 question. I'm getting the sign for 1 question, folks, so let's make it a good one.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I should never have done that. And look, everyone's leaving because they know audience questions are like, oh, this is real. Okay, you, sir. It's all on you.
Hi, this question is for Jessica. What is your favorite release of the movie Suspiria? Have you seen the new 4K transfer for SNCs?
No, I haven't seen it. I'm probably the worst. You should ask one of these guys that question. Because I haven't seen, God knows what I haven't seen. I don't even know. But I saw this Blu-ray version at home with my daughter on a big television a few years back. And it was so incredible that my daughter said, "That is cool." And when a 23-year-old tells you that, you know it's cool.
All right, one more question from the audience. I'm so sorry. There's tons of people with their hands up. You're gonna have to make a call. I can't do it.
I see someone who seems very enthusiastic.
That could mean anything.
Can you tell us something about the sets? I mean, it's so lavish.
Where was the location?
Yeah, how much of it was on location? How much of it was set? It was very lavish set.
Oh, all the exteriors were shot in Munich, and the interiors were all sets and shot in Rome.
And really quick, so I think we're going to wrap it up now because we are short on time. But you're now primarily an author. I want to know what's next for you. What are you working on right now?
Oh, you guys are going to love this. So I'm doing a podcast right now. It's a limited edition. It's only 10 episodes, and it tells the story of my childhood growing up in Winnetka. The name of the podcast, so it's going to be coming out early next year. It's called Winnetka. So you just gotta, don't be like my brother and put it off for 65 years. Gotta listen to it.
Well, you've also got a movie coming out, like, probably next year.
That's right. Oh, there is this other little movie I worked on that's coming out next year, which is called Suspiria.
Thank you all for coming out. Ladies and gentlemen, Jessica Harper.